Hi, this is Tim from Sound Effects Premier up in Ormskirk, here with Tom Quayle.
Hello.
My pedal expert today. And we're delighted to have a prototype of a new product that Roland Boss have brought out. Just before Frankfurt last year, they launched an ES-8, which was essentially a pedal switcher that allowed massive functionality, loads of patch saving capability for somebody who had a pretty big pedal board and a lot of pedals, of which Tom's one of those. However, once you've tipped over from having a really big pedal board, some people go into having a little pedal board as well when they go into smaller tours, and other people never get to that point of having a massive pedal board. So Boss have now brought out an ES-5. So an ES-8 was essentially, it had 8 loop functionality plus an additional dedicated volume if you so wished. This has a 5 loop functionality. However, if you do want a dedicated volume pedal, that will use up one of the loops.
It will, absolutely. Yep, correct.
So talk us through what essentially the other main differences are between this and the ES-8.
So obviously because it's smaller, it's got a smaller footprint, which is really, really useful. I mean, that's really obvious to say, but the smaller footprint is really useful. If the ES-8 is too big, one thing you've got to bear in mind is the ES-8 takes up a lot of space on your pedal board, which is great if you've got a big pedal board and you need all 8 loops, but if you want something smaller, this is smaller. The slight downside being, or I wouldn't really look at it as a downside, is it's missing some of the buttons on the top, so some of the foot switches. Now those could be assigned to various functions or almost any function you can think of to do with Midi or to do with controlling the pedal, using external controllers, things like tap tempo. But you've still got plenty of buttons on there that you can assign to various different things. And again, the fact that it's smaller means that there's less pedal board foot space or floor space taken up, which is very, very useful. Other than that, it pretty much does everything the ES-8 does. It's not missing major functions in any way. You can still plug external control pedals in there via TRS cables, so you can have up to 4. I nearly did 3, that makes no sense. 4 external controllers. Tons and tons of Midi functionality, more than I've ever seen on any other looping switcher, which is so useful if you use things like the Untitled H9 or the Timeline or any MIDI enabled kind of pedal, of which there's a lot on the market these days. Masses of kind of patches. I think there's 200 patches on there.
There is,
which may be a little bit less than the ES-8, I can't remember, but still more than you would ever need, so that's really good. Very easy to use, great, same LCD screen on there, tons of functionality in terms of like what the information it displays. Things like savable controllers per patch, so if you've got like delay times that are sent via Midi, those are savable via patch. Global tempo, that kind of thing. Foot switch assignments are savable per patch. It's got the same buffers in. You can do, there's a parallel loop in there. The ES-8, now we're getting quite detailed here, and we do have another video.
We are detailed for this.
We do have a couple of videos actually, which I did, which detail the ES-8 in great detail. So if you want to check those out, they give you the kind of lowdown on exactly what
they're actually on our channel as well. And Tom went into a lot of depth in terms of the functionality, how to use them, how to get the most out of them. And they absolutely apply to this as well. It's just slightly smaller. And to be honest, some of these pedals, because there's a few out there, and people like sort of Gig Rig and OC10 from One Control kind of blaze the trail with it, certainly. Some of it can be a bit intimidating when it is so functional. So this sort of stripped down version might be a good introduction to some people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it does all of the same functions. It's only got one parallel loop in there, but that's usually enough. If you've got a delay and reverb and you want to run them in parallel to each other, that's usually enough. I mean, when I was using the ES-8, I didn't really use both parallel loops, but you can do, of course, if you need to. But basically, you can think of it as the same thing, not necessarily stripped down in terms of features, but just smaller. So obviously, because it's smaller, there's less buttons on there, but apart from that, it's pretty much identical. So it's a really useful system because you can fit it on a smaller board, and 5 loops is enough for most people.
It is enough for most people. And, I think, obviously, essentially, it comes with that great Roland Boss backing, still got an LCD screen, built like a tank. I believe if you hit someone with it, you would still kill them in the same way that you would an ES-8. It's a solid piece of kit.
I definitely wouldn't want to be hit with it. That goes without saying. But again, it's got the soft non-latching switches. Really, they're noiseless as well. There's no clicks or pops or anything. Analog signal path. It's got basically just a load of crazy routing in there. So it's not sort of converting signals to digital or anything. Same as the ES-8, basically. I was massively impressed with the ES-8, and obviously I'm massively impressed with the ES-5 as well. So if you there's other bonuses. It's obviously a little bit cheaper than the ES8 as well, more affordable, all that kind of stuff. So if you thought the ES8 was a little bit daunting and a bit too big for you, this is probably the one to go for.
That's probably enough of us talking about it. Let's go into a bit more detail, have a little look.
I'll do some playing
and take it from there. Yeah.
Show you some examples.
Yeah. Thank you. Brilliant, that's great. Thanks for that, Tom. So there you have it, the new Roland Boss ES-5. This, as I mentioned, is a prototype. Will be with us soon at Sound Effects Premiere. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we do loads of stuff on pedals, pedal switching, etc., etc. So thank you very much, Tom. Very informative, as always. Thank you very much, everyone.
See you soon.